And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to kick off APAC North League. It is day number 3. It's, of course, September 22nd. It's TALON versus Mantis. Full Korean matchup. MantisFPS, formerly known as Cloud9. Seems like they shed the name, but a bit more with that as they came into this stage to gather up points, being number 2 just behind Fnatic. Just barely. So Jess, let's chat about Mantis.
I mean, I'm glad you put it that way because it felt like a pressure just came off them and they came alive again all of a sudden because we know what they're capable of. And a lot of people were wondering why they didn't make changes when they were one of the teams that looked to be the team to need to make a change. They are clearly very close outside of the server, so they understand that they can work on problems outside of the game as well. So I do think that they are one of those rosters that in the long term will do quite well. They just need to keep this consistency, and you can't let Six Invitational or any kind of LAN event kick you up the butt the way that it kicked them up the butt. So I'm glad that they are feeling a lot better and they are performing back to the standards we expect the Giants of this region to do.
They were the question mark coming into this season. Everyone was kind of asking, how are Mantis going to do?
Yeah.
They look unreal in one season. They don't look very good in the second stage.
Yep.
How are they going to do? I think we're all very firmly back on the Mantis train that they will do very well now.
Yeah.
That's the big hope for them. They need to show it again because they've had such a great stage 1, an abysmal stage 2, and they can still recover because relegations and points for SI are tallied over the entire year. Plus, remember, Invitational 2020 was delayed.
Yes.
So everybody got, and because of that delay, there was no major that we had in May. That was where we had Invitational, and the points were distributed among the top teams in each region for that major.
Best stage to go well.
Exactly. So for Mantis, they got 3 points out of it. Technically, I mean, it's free. They had to play well for it, but they got the points out of it.
Yep.
Second stage did not have that much of an impact. Now, stage 3, they continue the way that they're doing. We're going to have a chat about that later, Fresh, how they do for that future for the major, for Invitational and APAC finals. But Talon on the other side, the team still needs to show us more. That game versus Guts that they had last Playday was kind of wishy-washy compared to the damn one Kia game in OT.
Yeah. Talon, they've shown us glimpses so far, and I think that's fair to say. They've looked good in patches. They made the changes. They have 2 new players on the roster, but they haven't shown us enough. They got 6 rounds against Dan1 Kia on Oregon. Dan1 Kia, as we've seen, they've not looked particularly good. And then they went on to Cafe, they played Guts, and they really put in a poor performance last week. So they've shown glimpses of being a really good team, and it's kind of frustrating. But I'm hoping kind of today they can, you know, we talk about complete performances. If you get 3 or 4 good rounds,
Yeah.
if they can get 6, 7 good rounds, there's no reason why they can't have a go, but it looks like a real uphill challenge for them.
I don't know what to say about Talon anymore. I just feel like, go Talon, oh. And I'm just like, I don't even know. How do you go for a team that just has this roller coaster of up, down, every stage? And I think that that's one of the consistency issues we have with the middling teams. We said it about Guts. I actually put a lot more favor on Guts because I think they are slightly more consistent.
Yes.
Fav, I actually liken to Talon quite a lot because they can have highs of highs and super lows of lows. So it's Talon's opportunity now to get themselves out of a relegation position. I know, however, they are not lucky, but they're also very fortunate to have to go through those relegation fights. They don't get auto-relegated. They would go through a relegation fight. So that's an opportunity for them to redeem themselves.
Exactly. So, my friends, how about we take a look at our head-to-head? Again, it is the highest numbers on each one of these 2 teams, and it's Canos and Shal. So, Jess, talk to me here. What's going on between these 2, and can they show up today to get the W?
I mean, Canos has been around, you know, that region for quite a long time. We had seen him when we first joined APAC North as Talon, you know, playing on multiplicity of other teams, Scars as well. I mean, we have seen him be the gunner and the Ashmay before her R4C got nerfed. So guess what he moves to? He moves to the Zofia and Jägermain instead, as most players have done. Shal, the same. And obviously both of these players are doing quite well in the kills department. Shal had a rough stage 2, has come into the stage. And again, speaking about redemption stories, Shal is hitting it right now.
Yeah, and you look at the EPPs, they're performing well, and Canos in what we said is a struggling team, still maintaining a positive EPP. Kills per round is still fairly good, 0.9, impacting most rounds, and really high costs from both players as well, which you're not necessarily always seeing from a Sophia Jäger main.
All right, which map will these two and more, 10 in total, have to perform on today for this matchup? Can Mantis get all the points, or would Talon strike? It's Oregon.
What? Why?
Talon selected, banning out Cafe Dostoyevsky, and they're starting on the attack with Mantis on defense first. So, Jess?
I mean, we all know what just happened recently with Mantis on Oregon. So I mean, look, fair enough if you want to take them there.
We asked this question last week. Will teams keep taking Mantis to Oregon? And the answer is yes.
This is what is it? Stage 1 Sonics all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And I would hate to turn around and say that you are going to take Cyclops, you're going to take Damwon Kia, two of the strongest teams in APAC North, you know, coming into stage 3, you can beat them on it. And then Talon goes, you know what, we have the pick of the draw here and we're actually going to take you 3rd times the charm. I don't think that that's the right philosophy.
Yeah, but if you look at the options they had Cafe or Oregon.
Yeah.
They weren't particularly good on Cafe last week. So why not give it a go on a new map? Although it's a map that Mantis keep winning.
I mean, okay, benefit of the doubt here for Talon. If we're speaking between Cafe and Oregon, Oregon has barely a 50% win rate for them. So it's not the best for Talon as a map, but if you went, or rather Cafe, but if you went to Oregon, that's one of their highest win rates. So in converse, yeah, I mean, they have like almost an 80% win rate on Oregon. So if there's a map to do it on, I'm not sure this is it, but hey.
At least Talon has 2 playdays to look back on and say, maybe they found the secret formula. I am curious.
Mirror ban, because, you know,
absolutely.
thinking the big window, the mirror C4s that we've seen consistently.
And watch the doors for the runouts, boys. It's going to be hectic.
All right, we saw it even in the highlights at the beginning. Fresh Jess, thank you very much. MantisFPS versus Talon, all Korean for this matchup. And we got Emmy and Hap to take us through it. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. Thanks for explaining that you are curious. Wait for pause. And we continue. Yeah, we're getting into the opening game today, and I'm very excited to, I guess, get into another early morning of APAC.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting indeed, and we're also going to see now whether or not Mantis is indeed going to be on form again. I believe they lost their most recent match in the Nationals up against T1. A team that only has 3 points so far in the entirety of the APAC North division. So let's see if that was just a fluke, no pun intended, or if that is going to be a consisting trend potentially developing here for them. So going up against Talon, Mantis, well, they are going to be willing to pick up these points here.
Good luck, have fun. Thanks, Static. Oh, that probably wasn't to us.
Probably not, but, you know, we'll take it either
we'll
way.
Take it. We hope the players take it as well. It's good. It should be a fun game. Because I think one of the things that we've seen about Mantis, one of the things that we commented last week, although they had a pretty easy dispatching of DK, we did say that it wasn't really entirely because of them. DK were a team that didn't quite dig their selves into the game. Mantis played the game that's in front of them, which is fine, which is perfectly doable. But I want to see them tested. I want to see them stressed a little bit.
Now, the sledge ban is not a ban we very often see. We'll be, making it a bit harder to go for that vertical. Of course, the puck's still on the board. Mirror being banned is going to be very helpful. The map is Oregon. I don't know what map Mirror would be strongest at, but I think especially the downstairs side will definitely be up in the top 5 of sites where Mirror is going to be able to change things up. And as the final ban comes through, it's going to be the Valkyrie, just to make sure that information will be limited. We'll have to use these, well, probably Mozzie to come up. Try and get some drones, try and get information that way. If you want extra information, that is. And we all know, info is key. As the clash is being brought out, could be 6 picked away because you're showing it from the start. Means there's opportunities to go for counters. For now, Taylor not seem... Oh, there you go. Okay. Guns are swapping anyway. And that's going to be the alibi to come out.
Bit of a bait, bit of a play. Trying to hope to lure them into a false sense of security. Obviously, we've come off the back as well. It's one of the things when you see a team double down on a map and take a team to a map that they lost, there's expectations of reviews, there's expectations of odds, there's expectations of confidence.
Yep.
That you have to sort of say for both teams to be happy to come back here and to say, well, we can take you here where you just 7-1 team. Let's see what we can translate here. And I guess, again, my curiosity is always going to be piqued by the growth potential of Mantis, but by Talon, a team that is bitterly close, but bitterly close is an unfortunate repetition in their story.
And not close enough either.
Yeah.
T1 has been close in many of their games. They only have 3 points right now and are facing relegation. So you really want to make sure that you pick up these points. Relegation system, by the way, has been announced. Previously, we were talking about the fact that the bottom 3 teams would be losing their spots or having to fight for it. That became only the bottom 2 now. So Fav has a little bit of a sigh of relief up there, whereas, well, it doesn't change much for a team like T1. But TALON is actually down there quite long as well, so they really need to make sure to pick up these points here against Mantis. As I think I just saw the new Cyclops skin. Beautiful.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey guys, there's new share skins. Cyclops have one, as we've just seen. Talon, they have one. We haven't seen yet in the game. We'll point them out as we go through them. There's a bunch, there's a handful. They're very pretty.
They are very pretty.
There's things for everybody's taste, and there's the first anime girl skin.
Oh, that is definitely true. Which team was it again?
Elevate.
Elevate, indeed. One of our APAC South teams have...
Any mirror mains, any Goya Vector users?
I mean, I use the Vector a lot, so...
Do you want to have an anime girl on it? Because you can now.
Might have to.
And you can support your favorite teams.
That is the most important part, of course. You get
Yeah.
nice skins to support your favorite teams. Either way, we are heading down into the last 2 minutes. Yellow pings are coming out. Azix knows exactly there's a player around these stairs and gets the kill. Static will drop. But as you see, still a couple of players down inside a meeting here. Envy Taylor choosing to drop back a little bit. There is a player in the garage, there's a player inside Armory. It's not very safe for him to just move around freely here.
Oh, that gave the game away. I think he'd got further in there without them actually noticing. And there it is.
What are you doing, Danny?
It seemed like they didn't. We saw the drone go up the main stairs. Envy Taylor was able to find a little pocket of space in ground that they believed that they'd cleared and had control of. It was a little bit of luck, which is a consistent in this game, and it came through for them there. But he's opting to not hand it over. There is a second. That's a very extreme drop shot off the top rope and all the way down, sending Envy Taylor out of this. But still, you look at the loss of the Habana, you've now got a much tighter, more limiting approach on that walk-in closet. It makes things very uncomfortable because you've got to sort of rely on the push of Trophy and what you've got here from Attic. Harper is holding off with those mute jammers. They have a minute to try and formulate a way to get some sturdy control here.
Yeah, for sure. Have that network available to them, already opened up into the attic, so they're not going to be rotating around with 45 seconds, especially not due to the lack of control that they have inside of the bedroom. Means they'll have to drop down this half wall, but still plenty of support there. Nova now knows they're coming up. The smoke canister got shot out, but he's trying to fall back. Buy himself a bit of extra time. Bit of damage from the grenade, but nothing too big yet.
Well, there's the control I talked about, where they've just been able to try and get some of Trophy. They're going to stack up on the doors. Harper, with the C4, is in a close situation. He's hoping they just try and stick the plant. They pop round. He goes off the back of the kill of Shael. Soldier swings around the corner, gets the integral take here, so they can try and stick the diffuser. But with 10 seconds left, they've realized they've got to just try and push. There's 2 versus 1. Nova, close with the swing of the shotgun, is looking to try and take the fight. Sees the body on the top of the white stairs. They hit the rotation. They get dropped. There it is. Just connects it with the shotgun. Finds it with the follow-up. And Nova clutches out the opening round.
It was a bit scrappy there. Checked the corner for the sake of checking. Thought he wasn't there. Of course, knew the time was going to be running out. The plan was almost done in that case. And quickly went back. Dealt a little bit of damage with the SMG, but eventually finished off with a shotgun. Beautiful clutch to come in through, and that means Mantis is leading for now. But it was a very close round. A lot of trades coming out from Talon. Very strong play from them. If they can keep that up, those rounds might just start falling their way soon. Basement now coming up. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a 6-pick up towards the clash now, as it is often an operator that could be played downstairs. There you go. It's almost like I know what's happening.
It's like it's our job.
It's like, you know, when they show the clash, there's an intention on playing it, just not at that moment. So you try and 6-pick it away, so they're like, all right, they're not using it. Just to 6-pick it back in the round after, you know. There's a bit of mind games that are going on.
Yeah, back down, all the way down into the underground. A place that, to be fair, they played very well. Last week it was one of those sites where they seemingly had a little bit more of the control in the swing. Their responses to the approaches and how they could do on both their defense and their attack were very well put together against M1 Gear. It was some of, I think, their best play on the last Playday, was Mantis's play here. And again, my curiosity is still with how Talon's going to answer this. I don't believe the push we just saw was their plan A, because obviously they lost
not at all
the Iana, but you were playing their Diana in that sort of aggressive role, it's 50-50. But then they also lost Emic, and they lost him in a situation where he was a bit of a backline. They obviously want to try and put the pressure on to walk in and force the fight with the mute first. So, you know, the fact that they almost pulled it off actually says good things about Talon and the potential in this game.
Does say good things, but you know, maybe Mantis just warming up at this very moment in time. Might be growing into the match as drones are coming out. Not putting out anybody as of yet. Seems that Mr. Talon is looking to go for the top 4 push, but then decide against it. Soldier was on the repel, went off again. First floor just being cleared here. Drones are coming out as well. It's all of the good, you know. You need the time to actually enter that site. And if you have these drones in good positions, you can drone out the entire map in 40, 50 seconds. Which means you have that 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on that clock to start dealing with all the utility that has been placed down. And, well, you have static on these back stairs right now. That is going to be a clash shield. It's a walking piece of utility that they definitely need to take care of, because otherwise, well, they're just going to be slowed down in those final approaches towards the site when all the bullets start whizzing by. And as Cannon's being hot drone into the freezer, he is looking to pick up that first kill. If he succeeds in doing so, it might be quite big. Quickly takes care of the barbed wire, but that does make his position be known.
Now, as he is heavily putting pressure onto the site itself, he's going to try and draw the Mantis players back round. Obviously, as I said, they were quick to respond. Previously, there is just a bullet hole peek, but that'll be spotted out by the spray. No, it's this power position MV has played before. He sort of dances either side of that soft and makes sure he can keep swinging, putting pressure. He wants to keep that fire on. As you can see, they're sort of formulating. You have Aziz on the far side. They are rotating over, by the looks of it. They want to try and formulate themselves around this laundry take. The hatch is still something they're steadily putting their pressure through. Whether they go to just try and get some of those grenades down or they actually try and push here, I guess is going to turn into the next question. But that clash now has rotated. They've picked up what the player's attempting, and they're going to make sure they meet that electrified wall.
Yeah, they have to slow this down before it actually starts getting into motion. Flash out there will potentially be air trapped. I think that could be a good opportunity against it. Aziz is currently debating it, throwing in some flashbangs to deal with the countermeasures that could be deployed. In terms of ADSs, in terms of magnets, grenade now coming out. No ADS yet though, or air jab rather. It's going to be the shield that pops due to the magnet.
Second grenade just bounced around the corner there, but it wasn't cooked enough, so MV is able to slip away where they thought it would pop or not, but it's the canister that stops them 20 seconds, and suddenly they've really got to try and force their way through. A last second rotation, potentially towards E-Box, is where we're going to see one of the Talon players go, but the rest of them are trying to strike their way through on Freezer. Around the back line, caught MV Taylor, but it's a spray across, and bodies fall either side. Suddenly, they find themselves wall-to-wall with the Clash, who's just holding off in laundry, keeping everybody dry and clean. The spray down the long corridor picked up the last kill, but the Clash made sure that it stayed in Mantis' favor.
I just spamming out the CCE there, making sure they are slowed down. There was no way they were going to be able to pick up those 3 kills there. Only maybe if the Freezer player managed to get the Aruni, could sprint through all the way to the backside, hoping to pick up a kill from that rotation, maybe even 2. But Mantis in a 2-0 lead now. Meeting Hall Kitchen up next. It's not going to be the dining, a site that is the other option. I think when Oregon just came out, it had the favoritism from most of the teams. You often saw the shower holes that were coming through to make sure that small tower was unreachable, but as teams progressed and as teams continued to attack, there was quickly ways around those holes, and thus teams went to a different side. Now, the rear stage, is a big contention point. However, there's multiple ways to go at it. You can also just go straight for the kitchen. You could even go for that top 4 hold or control. Try and take the attic to find some of these vertical angles from the hatch, which is of course why it does get reinforced.
That's it. It gives them a bit more solidity. We'll see teams often try and force their way onto stage and burn the utility and see if they can just dig themselves in. They'll take control of big tower,
Yep.
and then go for the attic and go for the play and pace there. You'll have the smoke often doing long arming. You can often have the mute there as well, dug in behind the sandbags, just trying to swing onto it. A shield just off the edge of split is often where you'll see the extension there, so you have a little bit of width towards where you want to swing, and you can put pressure onto the door that leads into stage. It's seemingly well put together. But Talon here, they're starting it again with this very wide approach. They have a couple of bodies that are going down towards the main stairs and the balcony. They have obviously Heady on the far side on the top of small tower, doing a bit of a clear under pressure there. they want to try and get some clarity on where Mantis is.
They want to do that for sure. T4Cam's being taken out on the back stairs as Damek looking to enter from walk-in closet, but if I'm not mistaken, it could be a bit of a rotation angle there, making it a bit harder to get the exothermic down. He's currently being droned. And he's going to be a very important asset here for the side of Mantis to hold on to this site. They seem to be quite far in. Trophy has fallen. Soldier is close to it. Thinking about swinging the doors, but not quite going for it yet. Just making sure that all the flying drones are being watched. There's a minute 50 are left on the clock. The airdrops are being deployed, but still no complete top floor control. They still need to go down a floor. Only 2 members up there.
Yeah, MV Taylor is sort of in that trickier and trickier situation, and, well, not for very long. The swing comes through, Hetty gets the kill. There's a bit of a spray underneath, though. Nova went very aggressive onto the corridor window and definitely punished. It's kind of one of the multiple times that we've seen Talon just punished by a bold play from Mantis, who have taken an opportunity, smelt it, and absolutely done the damage that needs to be done here. The rest of them have otherwise pulled away. Nova's looking towards the eyes, an idea of going for a bigger rotate. There is still Canos holding the long angle all the way across, but a minute on the clock now and they've got their vertical.
Don't forget though, Aziz was able to pick up a kill right before Nova managed to punish him for it. So the top floor control has fallen, and that means they can start working on these verticals. There's a player being spotted out. It's a free kill for Soldier, turns it into a 2-on-4 situation. This should be Talon's first round to come in, but we do know that Mantis has the clutch potential.
Now, as they start using some of the pocket breach charges, they brought 6 across the players, but obviously 3 of those were on the Nomad, who's no longer with us, so it's down to Soldier to try and open up more of these angles and go for the spray. An easy pickup. Underneath there, it was a long watch, but it paid off in the end, and now it leaves just Harper in a 3 versus 1. No C4. They might be able to do a little bit of damage. Creeping their way around to the bottom of White, first of all, to see if they can potentially creep up and retake some of the vertical here, hoping somebody would rotate down, but nobody is. So as they start their creep up, they find themselves with the 40 seconds timer. Caught on the drone, pulls back. They're well aware where the fight is, gets the first. Just avoids the grenade, but it's a 2-story take now. There's a body above the diffuser. There's one just holding in the security room, watching the long angle, and they know they don't need to overpeak because they've already got it locked off.
There you have it, the verticals being watched, the flying drone potentially giving away this call, coming through the kitchen door. And the kill comes in. The first round for Talon on this game so far. Round 4 will be up next. Well played by them. They managed to clear out that top floor roam just in time before Nova was able to strike back and make sure one of those bodies was still up and alive. After that, just cutting out those rotations as well, making sure that Mantis had no way back into the side once you were outside of it. The kitchen take was on its way and succeeded. A plant down, post-plant successful. Kid Storms is going to be up next yet once more. We've seen it once before. It was quite an aggressive round. We saw the trades coming through, 3-on-3, 2-on-2, eventually a 1-on-1. Let's see if it turns out that way again, or if we're going to be seeing the actual attack at Talon, because they weren't really allowed to set it up. Mantis just too disruptive to make sure Talon had the opportunity to go for an actual take. But that is very often a very successful strategy. Just look at Cyclops against BDS and Empire at SI. I mean, we keep on mentioning it, but the Talon skin, by the way, you just saw down there.
I was going to say, there's a Diamond Kia skin.
Diamond Kia skin as well.
Also new.
The new skins that are coming in, I'm
smashing them out.
No doubt there will be an ad with all of them coming in somewhere today.
Probably generally the APAC focused ones today.
Probably indeed.
But there are some across all the regions.
If you want to see them, you can also just hop into game. You can hop into the Esports tab. You can look at your favorite teams, because there's a filter by team, and see if they have a new skin.
These are things you can do.
These are the things you all can do.
You can all do these things. And what MV Taylor can do is slightly descend tower. Drop from T3 to T2.
There's a drone up there, didn't you not see it?
Saw a bullet go over his head and sees the pressure that's being applied here, but isn't going to stick around. There's the fight on the Nomad underneath, though. Pushes back up. As you said, there's still eyes prized and a drone with a yellow ping. That's going to be the pickup there. Took a bold risk to try and get the follow-up, but yet again, we see this sort of early engagement being a bit scrappy, a bit caught in with MV Taylor and Mantis refusing to sort of give the ground up. They're burning their way steadily through. The change of Damek is picking up the Thermite this time. Going to try and protect them and get them a little bit closer to the site because, obviously, hopefully they learn a lesson. Unfortunately, the control of that flank isn't going to be easier when you've lost your Nomad.
Now, Flank Watch indeed is down, but there is no electrification on the wall. Also no mute jammer inside the game, so if they do manage to take control of the walk-in closet, that should be an easy breach for Damek to just try and push onto the site from there on. Soldier thinking about entering from the armory, could be putting up some pressure there for sure. There's going to be still a bit of pressure from below though. We have the one Nitro of Harper. Has the opportunity to either long toss that or go from below and try and catch them off if they would be inside of the bedroom, opening up walk-in closet.
Well, Damek now has a bit of freedom. They want that rotation wall opened on the other side, but they're going to make sure that it's safe because it very often isn't. So just going to rotate around and potentially try and take up the mantle of holding off the side so Heady can hop, actually no, back round to Attic. Widen their approach here, keep highway clear, and allow themselves and alleviate some of the pressure that they can otherwise apply so it's not so multi-directional, something that suffered for Damwon Kia in their showdown against Mantis on this map in the previous Playday.
Drone just got taken down there. There's a lot of information here for Talon. It might be lacking a little bit now as some of it has been taken care of. That is going to be costing some time here. And he's still needing to open up into the attic with about 40 seconds left. Will succeed in doing so in a second attempt. Leaves it only 30. Grenades are being tossed out, smoke canisters as well. All the utilities being deployed. It's just going to be a big, massive gunfight now.
Yeah, they've pulled themselves all the way back. Harper is still underneath. That's the big potential play here because they have that C4 in pocket with only 20 seconds. It just takes one well-played and placed one of those to end this approach. Now, stuck in, hopped up on the table. The spray comes around. The Iana's dropped on the foosball table. We hear the explosion. The C4 pops off. No win, but Shayal is the one that's taking the wins up top anyway. Soldier swings round, sprays, dropped by a shotgun, cut in half with the second for Shayal, and Mantis have another sturdy hold in the dorms.
This one was a bit sturdier than the last. What was there 1v1 in this one? Eventually turned into a 4v0. Mantis taking that lead and extending it, of course, 2 rounds of a difference now. We'll be heading back to Laundry Supply. Clash is being brought out. Of course, they showed it during the first time around here. Might not be as keen on hiding it as they were before, so no 6-pick potentially coming in for it. Could, of course, still be the case. I don't know. Scoreboard is right over it, so we might be surprised. No, got locked in. No 6-picked on any side, actually. So the 10 operators you saw at the start will be the 10 operators we will see at the end. Let's see how this hold will develop. If it's going to be changing any bit, anything maybe, just a small adjustment, because the last push came down from the freezer and the laundry side. Now that didn't work. Will Talon attack from the same side again, or are they going to be going for maybe a little bit more of a default push? Go from blue, go from E-box and the back stairs. Those often seem to be working out quite well, but still the clash. You need to deal with that operator, and well, there is of course going to be 4 grenades on the board. You have 3 air jabs and 2 concussions. There's a lot of utility here that can be used by Talon to get rid of that shield. They just need to make sure that they're using it the right way, at the right time, with the right cover there. Really synchronize onto that operator, because as soon as you take out that clash, the entire take just becomes so much more easy because there's a lot that relies on the single operator.
Now, Talon setting that early work in similar plays and places to before, but I guess I want to see if they try and throw themselves on the fight of Freezer and Laundry at first. Scrappy, but no one's died or suffered as of yet. As they just pull back, they realize that that's not really a fight they want to take momentarily, but with Static on the back stairs, it seems like they might be about to suffer some pressure, something that they did not before. An early fight against this clash could draw them into a bit of a situation, or it might just cost a bit of utility here from the guns of Talon. Either way, they're diversifying their approach. They're going to change things up, go for E-box, and see if they can put some pressure on the backside early.
Yeah, they have to isolate the clash here, and the best way to do that now is to open up the hatch to create yourself another angle, then try and push them down from both. Ooh, that was almost a shot coming down there. Heady just fell back in time as Charles going quite aggressive on the hatch here. I was going to say, if you are going to be able to get some pressure down from E-box onto the clash and also from the stairs at the same time, you might be able to actually pick up that kill. As these long angles being created right now by Soldier. It's going to be the first kill. Aziz gets the kill onto Static. Not quite sure how he managed to take down the clash, but he did.
It was an air jab.
Oh, an air jab. There you have it.
You just saw, as we were going over the top of Attic, the Clash fall down, drop the shield, and swung. There wasn't anybody that was able to support them as of yet, and that is a fantastic take there. As I said, it's a risk. You're trying to isolate them and hope that there's nobody to go for the support. You're burning utility, which could be precious elsewhere, and it was perfectly used there to be able to take them out of the equation, the mix, what was such a problem for their laundry push before. And here, the energy and the pace as they stack themselves up to try and clean out the remaining bits of utility across the board. They're still holding aggressively. Shyle on the far side, making sure nobody goes for that sneaky E-box drop hatch that some teams like to, as the Nomad slow creeps and crawls through Freezer, trying to chill out anybody that's close. The grenades bounce around. More pressure onto Envy Taylor, who's playing this Crux position. Can they get one more body before they go for the collapse?
That's what they try to achieve. The shield gets taken out. A beautiful headshot from Hetty there. Brings it to a 5-on-3. Drones are still very much active. Envy Taylor knows one beat could be coming from the back, as there was a drone out there. You see indeed a player above on the hatch. A soldier waiting to go for the drop as soon as this fight and push is starting to achieve.
Demic and Hetty both suffer scrapes, but they're still standing as the approach starts to come through with the smoke canisters pretty much entirely used at this point. It's just a matter of seeing if they can get the spray. Demic goes down. It's a double for Nova. He gets one more, locks it off, and I said the canisters were used, but he is far from done. 10 seconds left. They've got to see if they can recollect the diffuser and get it stuck to the ground. The slow creep all the way through. Nets a massive kill as the connector falls down. They have a bit of a crossfight. Shael needs to try and swing close on the right first and does not take the fight. Locked off by Talon, and a fantastic change.
There you have it. Managed to pick up the Clash, and suddenly the whole tape becomes a little bit easier. Good use there from the air jabs, indeed. There was a lot of utility available to them, and they managed to make work with it, which is minimum of it. Sometimes we do see 4 grenades being tossed at a Clash and concussions, and they still don't manage to kill them. This time it was just a single air jab that did the job, so that allowed the rest of Talon to use their utility into the actual site, create openings, and with that, of course, pick up a round. 2-3. That's going to be the run it back from Mantis, again going to that bottom floor. We do see the Clash yet again, so no changes there. Using the same operator lineup. Maybe a little bit of a different diversion of the utility there, as you saw there. The shield taken out, Hetty instantly with shots onto the head. Nova, a good attempt, but was unaware that the rotation was being utilized at that very moment to eventually lead to his death. So as Mantis is still in the lead, it's just a singular round now, with one more round to go into defense.
They're doubling down. They're going to see if they can keep it. It makes sense. Obviously, they've had a success on this side, which they haven't on any of the others that are available to pick at this moment, and they could still swing themselves into a 4-2, which is a good set. It's a good position to be in. But I think Talon, it shows that they're learning. As I said, from that very first round, they have this fight. They have this fire in them, and they know that they can try and pull these big fights. It helps that Aziz is having a huge game so far. Soldier as well, who's been a little bit quiet recently, but once upon a time was one of these terrifying Zofia players that would just slow creep round a map and absolutely tear teams apart because they lost track of him.
Yeah, for sure. And as Talon again taking care of their top floor and the first floor clear. Quickly realize as well that again there is no roamers on this site, and that just gives them so much time because there's 50 seconds past now and they're already going to be starting to open up and start working towards the site. We already have drones coming inside of Freezer, we already have the rotations being cut off here. That is really going to be hurting them in the end. Just a completely zero contest that is coming down. This time though, air jab onto the stairs to hopefully for them pick up an air jab. You see the blue tarp being taken care of. That is to mask the sound or to create a different kind of sound, which allows Harper to play a little bit more freely right around the corner without being heard.
Yeah, this is something that we asked you and I on broadcast when we saw it happen in the Vitality game, I believe it was, and Helby actually responded on the Reddit thread and said this is why it happens. It's because it's a very noticeable audio difference. So it means that you can get close and swing aggressively and they won't know because they're waiting to hear the tarp sound. You make way less sound, so there it is. For all you sneaky players that are looking for one more thing as an advantage, there's one.
So these small things, right, that can lead into these big advantages in the end of the round. Like, imagine just a player coming down from barrels now, not hearing that there is going to be a player that, you know, Harper is playing around the corner. He managed to pick up the kill, and from there he snowballed around. That could just literally be taking care of those tarps here. As the magnets taking care of the projectiles that are being tossed in. 55 seconds left on the clock. Talon again wants to go for a very similar push. This time the Clash is still alive though. 50 seconds left. Can they do it? That is going to be the big question.
Well, Static is back in the situation and position where he was able to cause so much problems for them previously on their attempt, and this push down, buried on that back line. They're trying to burn as much of the utility as possible to see if they can just bounce one of these grenades into the other power position. Nova, often locked in, is keeping a bit of a cautious width and breadth to make sure he doesn't instantly suffer. The Clash is doing everything to swing all of this intel around, and MV on that pillar. It's yet again technically another power position, but it's one that comes with a lot more danger, especially as we haven't really seen them have it fully utilized this time around. 15 seconds, the flashes start to pop through, but it's MV that finally is able to take a bit of a leading mantle here. The pings and the sprays are continuously popped, but it's Hetty that actually able to lock it off on Nova. Gets closer and closer to the Clash as the swing comes round, and there it is. A bit of support for a bit of a pressure. About and blown up, but back to it. They get one more and a 4-2-half.
4-2-half indeed. A bit of a team kill there at the end, but, you know, that round was probably not going to be succeeding. We saw happening there was the Clash yellow pinging, allowing his teammates to set up for a potential swing. Of course, not happening, but it does put some fear into your opponents. And we do end on the 2-4 split. A very usual split on a map like Oregon. We do see the Clash instantly being brought here by Talon, but this is going to be for that top floor, so there could be a 6-pick out. Not saying that Clash doesn't get played on the top floor, but just gets played a little bit more on the basement. 6-pick indeed coming out, but not confirmed yet. Looks like we see the Buck coming in here to substitute for the Sledge, and a Vigil as well, so we might see some sneaky coming out right here from the side of Talon with a bit of roaming, maybe in tier 3, something like that.
There it is, the spray around the support of the Clash who pulled back. Team kill, which we had in the feed, and the drop of the diffuser. Just that final throw and thread. They knew that they had to try and put the pressure on. They knew that they needed to do it, and it was, again, it was just this moment of the difference of their Clash and the difference of not being able to isolate and pull a player out of it. We get to see now them on their defense. We get to see Mantis see if they can break the mantle. Talon, as I said, they've been putting in a great fight in this game so far. But the way it keeps going at this rate, it would push Mantis, at least for now, up to first. And Talon stuck around 7th.
Yeah, definitely not ideal for Talon here. Can we, by the way, quickly highlight the attic? There was a serial laser gate placed on the left side of the wall, and the reason that this is done is that if a rotation is being made by Nova, they can, you know, they hear it. If someone goes through, they have to use another piece of utility, and it often gets made on that side of the wall as well by the Maverick, whilst the other side is reserved for a line of sight hole. So, you know, just slowing them down a little bit more. You never know if that could be the difference in the end there. An extra grenade or drone taken care of before they could actually push.
There's another new skin, the Kavana Buck. And
that's another kill.
Nova gone. As he's hopped up, gets the big play here, there. Hoping that somebody dropped out. They had the pre-placed drone here on the small tower run-out, but nobody is actually currently holding themselves into that aggressive mantle position. They've pulled themselves away. They've lost one early on. And that's going to be a bit of a blow here for Mantis, because at this point now, Talon don't have to keep the pressure on the gas.
You can see a run-out coming in from the garage door right there. Oh, not anymore. Just repelled into the armory. I was going to say, if he stays repelled up there, we just see an impact up into the door, and we see the Vigil running out right afterwards. Going to be happening for now, at least. The Mute Gemmer, Electric Claw, every piece of utility denial has been taken care of. What was the Electric Claw in this case, and that means they can start opening up. But the Excaros are taking a little bit of damage from the explosion there, but at least the hole has been opened up.
That's it. They sort of lost the body on the far side and went, well, let's just put the pressure onto the site. We don't need to think about that for now. We've got everybody inside and we've got a bit of control. That has forced the Talon players on a wide round to come back, and to be honest, it's well played by them. They've made sure that they can still put the pressure onto the firefight itself. It does a little bit of a job here for Mantis, where they can kind of go, okay, well, if we do this, that'll bring them a bit to us. We don't have to go on this huge hunt with the body less. We don't have to try and take these loose, wide firefights just for suffering the early swing round. MV takes care of Aziz with the skeleton key, drops them, I believe, and locks it off on an early fight there around yellow. Here as the canister starts to pop onto Trophy. It seems like they're trying to get hyper aggressive. The pings are continual though. That puts Aruni in a very difficult situation because they're not in the most easily defendable place.
Definitely so, but keep in mind there might still be a Nitro from below. Demic is, I believe, rotated down to the bottom floor. Has the opportunity to use that Nitro if a plant would be to come down. Static is on the hunt here, but gets taken down himself as Envy picks up another couple of kills. It's a 2v2 situation now, 35 seconds left. Who's still left on side? Soldier and Canos both around. Envy Taylor inside of the bunks, trying to find himself a bit of an angle as Harper does the same.
Swings onto the first fight, draws out the second, and just takes it! That should not be his, but now he's on the careening path towards the possibility of an ace. A pop and a swing and a pre-fire around the corner. Canos takes the head off one and the double for Canos to lock it on the top of white.
I'm going to say, I think I saw it right. Was he running the Hibana at the end there? Came off the plant, I believe was running there, or maybe it was just the animation, but oh, that could have almost gone their way there for Mantis. Are calling for the timeout. Was a bit of a scrappy round there. Losing out on your player that should have really droned out the big tower, and even if it's a visual, you'll still get to see the effects, you know, on the drone, the little static, that there is a player up there. Again, no pun intended. They just went in and died on the top of the tower. It's not really so, you know, how you want to start off your round because the added pressure is quite crucial. And I just didn't have it at this very moment. So it's going to be up to them to try and figure out how they can quickly solve this. Of course, they're going to go to a different site now. Top floor has been locked for another 2 rounds now. Means we're probably going to be going to the basement. Honest Talon is going to be bringing us some very weird setups.
I think it's well played by Talon. I think it was Envy Taylor. You know, I'm curious to see how many of those kills were ones where Talon threw themselves out of position a little bit to get a kill for Envy Taylor to then pick up the trade on the double window, because he picked up 3 kills before he entered that window, from the window. He was able to just keep punishing Talon, but Talon were getting a kill just before. Talon kept on being that little bit sharper, and it's that sort of risk and reward thing that's working well for them so far. It puts them within only 1 round. It puts Mantis on this bit of a back foot. As you can see from their timeout, they're like, we need to try and control this a little bit better, because unless you swap that blow for blow balance, they're going to keep locking out the rounds.
Yeah, for sure. And what we do see, by the way, here is that Decade has been swapped out for an Ella. Wonder if that's going to be the FO12 to come into play. Of course, could be very useful at this bottom floor. Oh, Scorpion. All right. Just putting up the shield quite aggressively. So Barrels is going to be tried to be contested from the early round here. Could be just a grenade to fly over, I believe, if you get it from right behind the concrete blocks. Maybe you can angle it in just right to get rid of that shield either way. It is going to be Talon's plan. Try and keep them out of barrels for as long as possible, or at least let them use utility to take it. They're not even into blue or elbow yet. Talon continued to set up. There is no clash, big difference compared to Mantis. We see the Mozzie to come in, we do see the Vigil, so a bit of a roam-heavy setup with the Oryx as well. If they just directly hit the side, that could be very detrimental for them.
And that's it, the drone is going to come around now on the close corner, wants to try and hop up onto the electric box to see if they can put the pressure over the top, finds it. And now as it just dabbles around, they get the spot on that aggressive shield. They're looking for the Grismot, it's on your bottom left. There it is. And now they can try and get past that dangerous ice cream cone. They're going to see if there is anything to catch those long-arm grenades. There doesn't seem to be anything immediately as of yet, but the way that this is set up is Soldier has to be hyper-aggressive. They have to always think that he's close enough that that sort of throw is too dangerous. They still pull it off, though, and they're able to get rid of that Grismot.
Yeah, indeed. Just quickly just steps in, makes sure that the Grismots get detonated, and then steps back out to let the effect fade slowly. As a result, they do manage to at least clear out that bit of a barrel's hold and can now progress further. However, as he's still on that top floor roaming, now using the hatch inside a meeting potentially to make sure that, you know, anybody moving into blue will be taken care of. They have these extra angles. Still 2 players on that roam. As they could have gone a bit quicker maybe at the start of the round. That is slowly starting to fade away. Mantis need to make sure that they have some grasp onto the meeting side. And as Envy Taylor, well, running around, scanning some of these footsteps, is going to be making the rest of his team well aware of the fact that there will be players up onto the first floor.
Well, with a minute 30 left, they're finally able to start digging themselves in, but Soldier's getting hyper-aggressive, is able to win the first firefight. Heady gets one on the backside, one more. And they have instantly locked down any of those 3 bodies that tried to find their way in via blue. Still doing some search elsewhere, but again, this Talon aggression, this ability to keep getting that first step on these firefights, that first swing, that first body, is repeatedly coming into their favor. There, not quite so much. Shyle had the lock off on the staircase. They're able to get one more, but with a minute, they've still got another 4 more to get through.
2 of the roamers that get called off right here, trying to still be sneaky up onto that top floor. The first one got killed, the second one forced back to the side. 45 seconds on the clock now. It's still something to work with, but the diffuser has been dropped inside of blue, so you literally need to dig yourself through every single one of these Talon members right now as you make the roamers fall back. 35 seconds, it is definitely not impossible, especially with Envy Taylor starting it off like that, but you still need that freezer control. And Demic, well, close around the corner, just like Canis, are all just hiding out.
That's it. Demic wants to try and get the swing onto this firefight as they've done before and takes it well. Puts Envy Taylor in another tricky situation here where he's got to try and lock off all of the remaining bodies, but doesn't get the next. Canos brings Talon back level.
4-4. Talon indeed has the opportunity here to sneak away some very important points from Mantis. Mantis, of course, who had a... how do we say this nicely? Horrific stage 2.
Was that nicely? Did you pause?
I do not know what
you
nice
paused and went, how can I say this nicely? And the word
is horrific.
You settled on was horrific.
Okay, let's just say not so great stage 2.
That's a much
better,
nicer
right?
way.
Yeah? Okay, we'll put it like that in that case.
I mean, I think both are right and both are valid.
Yeah.
And they're aware of this.
Of course they are.
Nobody is.
I don't need to tell them. But,
No, nobody is.
To those who only started watching Siege Esports and APAC since today, they had a very great stage 1. They had a very great 2020 season, and then stage 2 after SI. It was a car crash, you know.
The graph took a very sudden downturn.
You know, downward stonks.
And now we're building it up, but the graph so far isn't on the same angle of incline and success as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's still shaky.
It's still shaky. They want to make it to the major again to secure themselves a 6th invitational spot, of course, but it does mean they need to be top 4. Now, they started off strong. They managed to get some very important points against some, you know, top considered teams. Still, Fnatic was up to say, you know, to be the true test whether or not Mantis is going to be back at their dominant selves. But that does mean that they would be able, or should be able, to take a full 3 points against Talon here, because they are currently in that 7th place. That's a barricade that just went well there. Static going for a bit of a wallbang, not quite hitting the person inside of the security. Zenfik Taylor now joining that party. It will be Soldier to use his electric claw, make sure that that wall will be locked off. So it's going to be very difficult to push in from this side as the... I hope that was a Gemini. That was indeed a Gemini. I was going to say, I don't hope that's the actual Yana to push in, but at least they're already very close up.
Now, that's one of the things that we talked about as well about Mantis, is they play the game that's in front of them. And sometimes that's to their detriment, as although this should be a game that they, you know, if you're looking at numbers and you're looking at recent play rates, could lock off, they haven't quite been able to get through that as of yet. The grenade just catches the claw, which is on the story above, but they're in a position to try to catch it. No, the other one is already used, so instead, it will be a C4 utilized to get rid of that exothermic to keep that wall locked.
Ooh.
It's a big cost-for-cost utility exchange.
And they're not going to go for the second exothermic, actually. Want to go for a different push, it seems like. Potentially go towards the actual meeting as Hattie goes down. Going to be trying to go quickly in here as they manage to get a couple of good kills here. Shao picks up another as well. So 3 and 4. Mantis do have the advantage here in his last final seconds.
Canos around the backside, gets the damage done on Split with Demic backing him up inside Classroom. Suddenly, the sight and the control has reversed, with Talon trying to go for a pretty last-second retake here, dropping that Maestro cam. They have one body down. Might not know about Demic inside Classroom. They have a rough idea, but Demic has one much sharper, and Static, unfortunately, still hasn't quite been able to dig themselves into this game. They want to try and get the pickup, and that's why Maestro's gone on the long conversation here. They realize it's likely going to be a post-plant, so may as well do it in a 2 versus 3. with all of the bodies standing, with everybody able to put a bit of pressure on, they can do this, formulate a much wider strategy. Envy Taylor has pulled himself a little bit further away. They haven't got the vertical control here. The first fight goes their favor. Envy Taylor gets one more, and Shile locks it off behind the shield.
Yeah, the shield really helping Shao here, able to just, you know, limit his angles of visibility. Gets the first kill into the dining, then has the shield to protect him. So he's allowed to go for the second, and Mantis, while they retake the lead now after they have shortly lost it into a tie with Talon, 4-5. However, now we're coming back towards the actual rounds that were won by Talon. And Talon, well, they want to make sure they do that again. They pick up the tactical timeout here. They want to make sure they win the top floor and the bottom floor. And with that, put themselves onto a match point. If they do successfully do so, they're the ones to fight for 3 points instead of Mantis. Whereas Mantis, well, they just need to crack them once in these next 3 rounds to make sure they are the ones with the match point at hand.
That's it. It's all so precious. It's all so close to the wire. I know we were talking about, obviously, Damo and Kier, and in a lot of people's minds, they're a top contender of the region after their performances on the grander stages, recently in splits. But then you look at where they are in terms of the grand schemes, and it's, what, 3 points away from potential relegation?
I'll just pull it up for you quickly.
Get it up, because it demonstrates just how close all of this is and how precious it is to not get to OT, to get full fat points, is when that is how sharp the precipice is, when that is the needle you're trying to thread. You need everything possible has to be part of what comes together for you.
So currently we have T1 at 3 points at the bottom. They are confirmed for relegations. They're no longer going to be allowed to crawl out. And Talon is up next, 7th place currently. They're 2 points behind Fav Gaming and 6 behind Demon Kia. So they're going to have to get more points than one of those 2 teams to make sure that they will be confirmed for the next year. But we got to remember as well, it is still going to be APAC. We do not have 9 Playdays here. It's only going to be 7. So, you know, with this being Playday 3, there's only going to be 4 times 3, 12 points left to be gained after this. So, you know, it's starting to close out. The gaps are starting to close here. So, Talon really need to make sure that they pick up some points here today to at least get closer to Fav, or maybe even overtake them.
Ying is to pick up in the hands of Nova. We might be about to see some of the pace that Mantis have been able to apply on a couple of their playdays before. They have gone with a semblance and a conversation of danger. They've gone for these rush plays, which once upon a time they didn't do too much. They were more than happy to sort of control the map. They were a team that just said, no, this is our building, this is our lockdown, we have you there. They haven't been able to do that this game. So I think they're looking at more potential aggressive ideas, more inroads towards the site itself.
So I want to quickly mention, if Mantis managed to pick up one more singular round, they are confirmed for next year's season as well. So that is also at play here for them. Talon currently 15 points behind them. As I said, there will only be 12 points left to be gained after this. So a singular point will be putting them out of reach. And right now, Talon will like to avoid that from happening just because they won those 3 points. But Mantis, as we mentioned before, they want to go to a major again. They want to show that, you know, the previous stage was just a one-time thing. Doesn't happen again. They went to the top of APAC and want to be back up there right now. As Mantis, well, they're trying to make some quick pace here on the top floor.
And that's it. They're looking to try and drop the cameras. They're not going to suffer before. Look at that. A grenade that, for a lot of other people's books, would have been the end since the changes have come through, but this time not quite, as he's able to live for another day. And that's a bit of a worry because he has been a problem for them to try and deal with. But to be fair, so have so many people in this game. A lot has lit up on either team, and either side has been able to dig their way through. They still have, obviously, all the vertical pressure that hasn't been contested as of yet. They have a bit of a lockdown, but they have an idea, and that is, let's smash our way into this site.
It's going to be their opportunity, their chance, their choice. However, it's still a 5-on-5. Aziz might be low on HP, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be able to do anything anymore. Very early smoke canister there, however, from Hedy. He's kind of looking to go for the jump out here. Managed to pick up the first. Envy goes down. And now Buchanan's trying to return to the site now. They have the 1-man advantage. And all they need to do is just try and, well, rotate, clear, and trade out. It's Harper already going in for the plant right here, but he's being damaged by the smoke. Candelas were being used as well. They're just going to go in a short corner now, but that smoke might fade, and that might be the kill to come in if he's in time. No, the cover is right there. Not going for the shot, and that means 45 seconds and a post plant on the board.
The most important part of cover comes through across the top of White Stairs. They keep it clean, and they pull out just in time as East is so damaged. They're going for the take round here on the back stairs and find it. It's a 2 versus 1. But they have barely any health, and there is obviously still the pressures that can come across from the 2 remaining players who, again, have also had very good games so far. The take on Envy Taylor was such a great lead-in because of how impactful he was, but throwing themselves into the fight and realizing we've just got to try and go for this.
They need to go, they need to go.
In the play
go off.
Doesn't stick, goes off, gets dropped. I mean, it's would it, could it, should it? But it's the round that was played.
I get it, but if you go off at 10 seconds, you need to make sure you're getting those 2 kills straight away at that moment in time. I think sticking would have been a better point, but either way, Mantis are at match point. Mantis is confirmed for 2022 APAC North League, or Division. And now we are heading into the potential final round. They're looking to pick up 3. They managed to crack them at least once. Let's see if they can do it again, this time on a different site. Again, some roamers to be shown. We see Canis on the RX. We see Demic on that Mozzie. Probably going to be seeing some barrels contest coming up again as well as the Clash gets 6 picked out, potentially to a Vigil like we have seen before. At least wouldn't be surprised if it's a Vigil or an Alibi to come through. Kavera, okay.
Kavera.
It's going to be an interesting one. Hoping to catch one of these Mantis players off guard at his lonesome without a buddy to back him up. And, well, to be fair, if they do not spot out that the Cav is in play, that might just happen as well. So as he will have to hide, make sure it doesn't get spotted by any of these drones. It doesn't get droned out either. And these first 30 seconds of, well, the prep phase, and of course the first 30 seconds of the action phase as well, because that could mean that the effectiveness he might have had before is going to be completely negligent? Negligent, yes, I think.
Negligible.
What?
I don't know.
You're making it hard for me.
What I will say, what's probably making it hard and stressful for Fresh watching and listening is this defender comp, is this sort of collection of what is a very hyper-aggressive. You know, it has so much potential of roam. It has the doubling down of the RX and the Kavera. You've got the Mozzie as well, who is in the right hands, a fantastic roamer at limiting information. They all play together, but the game that they play together is, I'm going to be over here, far away from the fight. You know, they have, sure, potentially those Grismots, the shields, over the remaining 2, but it's a thin backline. There's no ADS, there's no way to catch any of the potential grenades that come through, which we know Mantis are good with. This is no holds barred, let's throw ourselves in, or in the words of Fresh, Hap, you're trolling my elo.
I've never trolled his elo, to be fair. He's going to say, yes, I did, but I'm not trolling the elos. Fresh was AFK picking every time, you know? You can just see who's the bigger troll here. But he flashbangs and he Candelas and the smokes are coming out. It's going to be a quick push here to try and stop them from going in. The rotation hasn't been locked off. That's going to be the first kills to come through, but it's 2 that fall on the side of Mantis.
That's it. Now they've been able to potentially get a little bit more here. The body is down just in the corridor. They want to see if they can get the pick up, the cover of the flashes. It is an interrogation that will reveal the play onto that elbow corridor. Charlotte on top of the corridor. They're going aggressive, but they just pull back in the last possible second, punishing that loose play, and somehow they keep it locked down. What looked like it could have been a clean sweep with the pressure of the Candelas, the flashes over an ADS-less defense on elbow. But a couple of scrappy takes, dropping the body just before being dropped themselves, bought the precious time for them to be able to recuperate and punish on the back line. A minute 20, and the gambit has paid off for now, but it's still not over yet.
Has paid off indeed at this very time, as he's quite low still. Well, actually, no smoke canisters left. There's a minute on the clock. Just 2 impacts that they have in terms of throwables, and well, as he's himself low on HP, he needs to make sure that those really don't fall close to him. As right now, those last 60 seconds about to come in, the impacts are being considered by Azzies as they want to go for some plants. Smoke's coming out, Candelas are coming out again as well as Soldier goes low. Literally every single one of them is on low HP. You can literally just come in with the skeleton key and kill them all, but it's going to be Azzies with the first kill to come in. 2 men near the rotation right here. That's going to be Envy Taylor with a very important kill, but doesn't manage to get the second. As Shao comes around the corner, gets taken care of. The double kill with the Spas 12. And that is going to be a Kavera working out quite well here in this quick push.
A 4K Cav with an interrogation.
Who says Cav isn't viable in comp?
It's not viable. The stats, they speak for themselves. The 1% or less than 1% she's played. Hey, 4K and interrogation.
You know, 4K PR here. And 4KD as well.
Asterix done in the hands of one of the best players of the league.
That is very true.
It's like when you
mention that.
It's like, oh yeah, this operator can be so good in the hands of. Hey, try it.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a gambit, and now they've opted. If I'm going to talk about how that previous lineup was one that was hyper aggressive, they weren't trying to build fortifications. They were trying to tear down the approach. This is the exact opposite. We have the Jaeger, we have the Kaid back in, we have Warden for the first time to try and stop those flashes and those Candelas alongside the backline and the support. They've gone, okay, full extension, okay, let's retract.
So we see a various amount of play styles here coming out from Talon. I'm still surprised though, they managed to just slow down the push just enough to make sure that people have the time to come back to the site. And the Caveira running into the Ana, able to get the interrogation, of course, allowed them to lock off elbow in that case as well, because they lost control of it originally. They just close it off as no one is close anymore, and if they were, you would have seen it. And after that, you know, you just need to hold those angles. You hold from the back and you send up these long lines of sight. Worked out well for them. This time though, it's going to be a complete anchor to come through. Do see a Monty on the side of Mantis. It's not often we do see that operator coming out, but could be quite successful. The question, however, is where and how will you use it? It's not going to be bottom floor. You cannot just walk down the stairs. You need to fight upwards. And there's very many different angles you might be shot from or might be visible from. Can we see a potential reverse plan to come in? I mean, there is going to be the Warden on the board, so they might be able to counter that as well.
That's it. They have the potential to try and stop against the push. They've realized that a lot of smokes, a lot of flashes have been used over the past couple of rounds. And sure, we don't have the Ying and the Candelas anymore, but we still have a team that likes to push behind it. And this time, obviously got the Monty carrying the diffuser and a pair of smokes. They're going to see if they can potentially sneak themselves in as they steady and push this wall, the French mountain, moving all the way up to the edge on Trophy. Actually uses the first smoke canister to burn it through and get this tighter angle. The C4 gets ripped, torn, does a lot of damage, but not enough. Nova stays standing, retakes the mantle. Look at Talon, they're meeting the fight though.
That's him, that should be him dead. No, actually the smoke canister not dealing too much damage. Nova onto 1 HP. Grenades are coming out there, dealing almost no damage to the Talon players. And while Nova on such low HP, just a single smoke canister take will be taking care of him. And Eddie still has one left, needs to make sure it counts, but then even, of course, the serial laser gates could be detonated yet once more. Maybe even stepping into a bit of electrification could be doing the job as well.
That's why he's handed the diffuser over. They've got rid of it because they know if he goes down in a position where they can see the diffuser, whether it's on Trophy Door or whether it's going to be wherever he pushes onto next, it's too risky for them to just have that as an isolated incident. Here, though, with everybody still able to try and apply some pressure, Damek is obviously now a backline too, taking a lot of that early aggression and somehow surviving the potential take of MV Taylor on the window itself. It's Nova that is going to be the man that steps up. He's trying to bait that smoke. It comes through and not on him. The flashes go over the side. Harper wants to stick it behind him. They're doing a pretty attempt at a sneaky play, but look at the rotation. Aziz and Damek are trying to find their way around. It's locked off. They just get it off. Pull back a 3 versus 2. They find the kills, and Nova is on such a small amount of health. Cannot foot the back stairs. Is likely to get caught here on the firefight. It's dropped and taken. Shael can offer some support. They're going for the long-arm diffuse. They're going to try and hold off the take here. He's got to go the distance. He can't quite make it. Talon gets to OT.
Oh, they managed to get the plant off just barely, though. They just got a shot into the thermite, but the Monty able to protect that, just not from the attic side of things. 6-6, however, is what we're currently at. Mantis is brought to overtime, and Talon have a chance here to still win the game. Laundry Supply is up next. The clash is being shown for now. That should give away the game that they are downstairs. But we all know that Talon haven't really been playing it yet, so potentially we'll be swapping it out again. Maybe a Cav. We've seen it before. I doubt they'll do it again, but
I feel like
the Malusi's coming out.
The Malusi's coming
Instead
out.
of Vigil, the clash stays for this time.
It's such dynamic defensive lineups. It's such bold takes because it's not that they are sort of changing little things and little tweaks. It's a metronome that is clicking on either far side. of possibility of these defense setups, and it's really interesting to see because it's something that's keeping Mantis guessing. It's keeping Mantis on their toes. A team that famously and recently plays the team in front of them is having to learn the team every single round, and that is proving difficult.
See, the thing is with 6-pick, I have the opinion that if you have it available to you, use it every single round. There's literally no reason to not use it. Maybe Fresh is going to be going on the desk and say, you know, there's a reason why not to use it. But I think literally it's just free information you keep away from them, and you should just be using it. You know, some sites have a very key operator, Castle, for example, especially on Bakery and Cafe. Try and hide that.
Counterpoint.
Okay.
What if you play with expectations of if everyone using it, then not using it becomes using it? If you see a clash and you think, they'll 6-pick that, they haven't used this.
Well, that's the thing. You try and make it not obvious. You need to make sure that it's an operator that will fit in any composition that you just take out and go for the off pick.
Tougher and tougher to do in our modern game of Rainbow Six Siege.
For sure it is.
Tom Clancy's.
But that's why I say don't pick off of the clash, pick onto the clash.
Okay.
Don't use clash as I 6-pick off of this.
I get you. Talon, they get rearranging defenses. They get an idea of where Mantis is coming from. Hey, there they are. They fire a couple of bullets over the bow and the front of the clash, but not tested and contested as of yet. They're going to open E-box so they can put this pressure on the tower stairs, and then they can't really go anywhere. It's going to be down to Canos to try and offer as much swing support here as possible to keep them alive, but well played and placed grenades from that E-box hatch can be the big problem. As you see, the steady burn comes through. Canos wants to try and contest this first, seeing if they can just get that catch on the angle, but nobody's home. The pre-fire comes through. They knew the game that was being played, and now as the pressure comes down, and with that air jab there, Clash has been forced further and further back.
Clash is not going to be able to try and do anything against it. Actually, Canos is sneaking up to try and take care of the air jab. Might have successfully done so. I'm not quite sure if that is the case, as he has the opportunity to move up. And Static now getting into a position again. No, air jab was still there. Saw it flash. So haven't taken it care of. Just went a bit aggressive there. And Canos, again, looking to go aggressive. Not quite sure if they know exactly where the air jab is. As drones are being taken care of. The Fraser will now be held off by the Clash. Talon trying to hold on with everything they got.
The grenade bounces around, but they still have this control over blue. They want to try and swing around aggressively against the E-box drop hatch here. Shayal is also playing just patiently on the back stairs, but this is that clash problem we talked about before, where Talon couldn't find a way to remove the clash in the hands of Mantis. Now they're suffering the same fate, as the clash has been able to bounce back and forth between multiple different angles and sites. They haven't quite been able to tear them out, and that becomes such a big problem when you go for the close quarters potential pushes here, with the angles and the corners that she can bury herself in. Takes the first fight. Static is able to find his third kill. Can't quite get the clean on the second, gets the trade, but suddenly the drop comes through. Everything is lining up for Talon, but Nova, a consistent force, is able to make sure that he burns just that little bit brighter than Soldier. A 2 versus 2. Almost a 2 versus 1. A close drop there. The flashes come through. Demic in the close corner. They don't know he's there, though. They just find it. Envy Taylor swings.
He gets
for the double. Mantis once again on map point.
I was going to say, please check the corner. He's right around. You just saw the mag being tossed out onto the ground. Of course, that is a very small detail you might not always notice, but he managed to pick up the kills. And Mantis, well, they're again on match point here. This time they will be on the defense. Have the opportunity to lock it off at any given side they want to go to themselves. The Clash being picked up straight away. Laundry Supply. This side they've managed to defend the 4. With the Clash. Very successful operator in that case, until the air jab didn't work anymore. They've played it 3 times, they won it twice. And then the 2 times they won it, the Clash is still alive. So make it that as you wish. But it's a very key operator in the final seconds of this round. The Warden being brought up as well. That's going to be making sure that no smoke push or flashbangs will be affecting him. And as the prep phase has started, 40 seconds are slowly counting down until we get into an action phase, potentially the last of this game. No, there could be another round right after.
Talon, they've got to see if they can try and connect on their attacks, and to be fair, generally this map has gone into the favor of the defense. It's a tough ask. They've put themselves in a tricky situation now. Mantis have just been able to surmount this potential final hurdle, but they're also in this situation of can we lock it off? Big plays again across both teams. No one as much as Aziz on Talon's side, but it's that sort of triple threat, Shyle, Envy Taylor and Nova, who have been able to consistently show up here. Static in his defense has been playing these support roles, especially the Clash on the defense on the site. They've had that impact. Well, the previous round, it was the perfect time to show up.
Yeah, for sure was, as quick enter here from TALON. Already picked up a very important point here, but they want to make sure to have a very important 2 points, of course. That begins Mantis here. Maybe one of those top 3 teams again. We have to wait and see whether or not they turn out to be this stage. After their stage 2, you just don't know it. Taylor's waiting to toss that disc in. Not sure what it was for. Maybe to try and figure out if they should be coming from that side, what people think is best, or if the IGL wants it in a different spot at that very moment. What we do know, though, is that the rest of TALON is slowly starting to creep up onto the clash here. Grenades could be coming out soon. The default cam has been taken care of. The airdrop, of course, is the biggest threat to the operator.
And this was it. This was the take that we saw against Clash where it was successful. They were isolating the fight here. It was the combination of that Nomad, that air jab, catching the Clash and then putting that pressure on. Going to put the first and potentially going to use them procedurally as we see the second go up not much further away. It just steadily takes the land. You're isolating the ground that the Clash is able to play, and you force her into a position where she now can't push up further. Keep getting that intel on just what's going on. E-Box is going to pop next as they just get it open. No one's hyper-aggressively peeking this back as of yet, but they're a team that's more than capable and able to. So Hetty tries to lead into the fight first, something that TALON have done quite well this game so far.
Yeah, for sure. A minute 20 are left on the clock, and the rotate seems to be coming around to the famous Freezer and Laundry side. Of course, TALON have been attacking from this side the entire time. Only managed to succeed once, which was when they managed to get the Clash early on. Static again heading into the Laundry machine through the rotation, just to provide the information aggressively from the Freezer and, of course, from the Laundry side as well. All MV Taylor needs to do is hold out on this angle and make sure no one can push through the Freezer.
That grenade doesn't quite catch the shield, but that one definitely will as it's popped, and MV Taylor's power position is once again instantly barraged with every single explosive in pocket. It puts them in the situation of cost utility. And this is the conversation that we had before, is how much do you dedicate before you suddenly find yourself trying to throw yourself into a site and a take, because they still have everything structurally together. They have Nova in this very powerful position. He's played so well many times across all of these takes. Shiao on the back line is going to make sure that they can keep some of the solidity and free the Clash up to move elsewhere and cause more problems. Not in Laundry this time around, no, expecting a little bit more from Freezer, but with only 15 seconds, you're sort of waiting for TALON to try and take momentum. They drop the first fight. Soldier has to try and clear his way through, but it's a double kill for MV Taylor, an easy pick up here, and suddenly everything is starting to fall apart. The diffuser doesn't quite make it back up round, and Mantis, well, they lock it off with the 8 rounds at the end.
There you have it. They lock it off. They managed to get the kills, and Shao, as is per tradition, will be getting his Happy Mask back on. He's going to be...
what's he doing this time?
An active style.
Oh, it's a koi. It's a little bit of a koi.
It's a koi Pepe there.
It's a koi one.
Yeah. Very important points here for Mantis today. Also a very important point for TALON in their fight against the relegation, which will most likely end up to be against Fav, who of course still have to play later today. They will hope they will not pick up a single point today, because then they would have a net profit of 1. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to pick up more of these points today.
So net profit of 1.
For now.
Adds 2. And you have 3 people on a desk. And they're over there. So let's see what they're talking about.
Thank you very much, my friends. Always in sync, Hap and M. This got close, but Mantis closed it off at the end, Jess.
I said was third time.